Could Jonathan Taylor be on his way to the nation's capital? I'll be breaking down the possibility on today's Commanders Report. But before we get things going today, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. It's a free and easy way to help us out, so we really do appreciate all the support. So now let's get into the news here, which is that star running back Jonathan Taylor has requested a trade from the Indianapolis Colts officially. Of course, we know the Colts are rebuilding. Jonathan Taylor is trying to get paid, and he's trying to win while he is still in his prime. And this is definitely a bombshell news story because it seems like the Colts don't want to trade him, but we'll get into that here in just a second. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of today's program for why I would pass on a potential trade that would bring Jonathan Taylor to the Washington Commanders. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, so stay tuned for my reasonings why. So let's go over Jim Irsay's recent comments here, the Colts owner, which is believed to be the catalyst for why Jonathan Taylor wants out of Indy. So this is what Irsay had to say. If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor is out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. We know that. The National Football League rolls on. It doesn't matter who comes and who goes, and it's a privilege to be a part of. And apparently, Jonathan Taylor and a lot of Colts players, other than Jonathan Taylor, did not like this saying by Jim Irsay, this quote, because it makes it kind of seem like that he doesn't really care about his players and that the NFL doesn't care about their players either. And it makes it seem like Jonathan Taylor isn't that big of the Indianapolis Colts organization when he has carried that offense over the last couple of years. And when Irsay was presented with the news that Jonathan Taylor wanted out, this is what he had to say. We're not trading Jonathan. End of discussion. Not now and not in October. So let me know if you think Jim Irsay means what he says here by letting me know down in the comment section. Will the Colts end up trading Jonathan Taylor at some point this season, whether it be before the start of the season or by the trade deadline? Let me know. Will Jonathan Taylor get dealt by the Colts this year? Give me a yes or no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time today by giving me a yes or no down there in the comments section. All right, so now let's go over Jonathan Taylor's contract here, where he's got 1 year left on his rookie deal, so he's going to be up for an extension here soon. If the Commanders end up trading for him, they would be on the hook for $4.304 million in 2023. That's if they trade for him before the start of the season, as that's his base salary. And because there's just 1 year left, I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to want to get extended at the time of the trade. He's going to want to get that big time extension and get paid his money because he feels like he has earned it to the early part of his career. He probably doesn't want to get franchise tagged, and he might be willing to hold out if a team is going to franchise tag him. So the question is Taylor worth the price for the Washington Commanders specifically? Does it make sense for Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew and this Commanders front office to make this move? So let's take a look at what it would probably cost the Commanders in terms of an extension. Right now, Christian McCaffrey tops the market at $16.02 million. I would guess Jonathan would want to get somewhere close to that, if not higher. And then the stats over the last couple of years, or last 3 years, I should say, for Jonathan Taylor, 3-year career has been fantastic, right? Last year was a down year, right, with just 861 yards, dealt with some injuries, only 4 touchdowns, but the year previously led the NFL in rushing production there with over 1,800 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and a massive 18 touchdowns. Almost led that Colts team to the playoffs there in 2021. And he's definitely a fantastic running back when he's healthy, when he has the good offensive line in front of him. And with Ron Rivera, I think it's absolutely possible that he could pull the trigger on a Jonathan Taylor trade. I can see why he would be interested here. Like, first of all, we know that the Commanders have been interested in free agent running backs this year. They talked with Kareem Hunt a lot. Apparently, he's still in the mix to be signed at some point during training camp. And let's just face it, Rivera needs to perform this year with a new owner coming in and Josh Harris. He needs to prove his worth to the organization right now. And Jonathan Taylor could absolutely provide this offense a spark here because Brian Robinson Jr. is fine, right? Antonio Gibson's pretty darn good. You're hoping that Chris Rodriguez Jr. Turns into something here in the running back room, but Jonathan Taylor is like a guarantee that you're getting one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and that might be appealing for a guy like Ron Rivera that needs to get his team to the playoffs here in order to save his job, at least in my opinion. Now, the asking price for a trade, so along with the extension, you're probably going to have to give up a first-round draft pick or at least a second-rounder in order to get him on your squad. I think the Colts, with how much they love Jonathan, they're not going to part with him for anything less than a first-round pick. So I'm looking at what a potential trade would look like. It's going to be a straight-up swap between Jonathan Taylor and that 2024 first-round pick. So let me know, do you think that this would be a good deal for the Washington Commanders? Let me know in the comments section right now by giving me an A if you're accepting this trade, or if you decline this trade, give me a D down there in the comments section. So now coming up, I'm going to tell you why I would decline this trade offer from the Indianapolis Colts. But first, a word from our friends at Fanatics, and they've got a great Commanders t-shirt combo for you guys to take advantage of here right before the start of the 2023 season. The energy around this franchise has never been higher after the acquisition of the team by Josh Harris. A bunch of fans are returning to the fan base right now, and it's an absolutely fantastic, energetic time for the Washington Commanders franchise. So if you want to get some more burgundy and gold in your closet, you can go to chatsports.com/Commanders combo and get your hands on this awesome pair of t-shirts today. So now let's talk about why I would decline this trade offer from the Indianapolis Colts, even though Jonathan Taylor has been a very good running back in this league throughout the first 3 years of his career. Last season, with PFF grading, he took a big dip down, right? The Indianapolis Colts offensive line was just plain and simply not very good last year. It was very good in 2021, but in 2022, it took a dip, and so did Taylor's production. You can see that with the 45th overall running back grade, according to Pro Football Focus last year at 67.6. That's way lower than it was in 2021 there, where he had an 87.1 overall grade. That's one of the highest in the National Football League. He had the highest rush grade with a 90.0, and he's never been a great receiving back, but he's definitely somebody that if you give him the ball in open space and you got a good offensive line blocking in front of him, he's one of the best running backs in the National Football League. But plain and simply, the Commanders don't have a good offensive line right now. So I'm probably thinking if you trade for Jonathan Taylor, you're going to get more 2022 production than you do 2021 production. And that's really the moral of the story here, guys, is that running back production fluctuates a ton in this league, and it's really, really dependent on offensive line play. This is why running backs are seen as less valuable in the league today, because they're definitely fluctuating in terms of their production. They have a low shelf life, and the offensive line is really responsible for a ton of rushing production in the National Football League. Take a look at rushing leaders over the last 10 years, the guys that have won rushing titles. I mean, how many of these guys are still considered top-end type running backs? 2, maybe 3 with Derrick Henry. Some people think he's starting to decline. But right now, Ezekiel Elliott is cooked. Kareem Hunt is no longer viewed as a top of the bill kind of guy. Adrian Peterson is out of the league entirely. DeMarco Murray kind of completely fell off the planet when he won the rushing title with the Cowboys there in 2014. Went to the Eagles and was just absolutely atrocious. And then LaShawn McCoy, he was fine after that rushing title with the Eagles there in 2013, but he was nowhere near that top of the market type player. So it's definitely the history will definitely tell you that these running backs, once they get a rushing title, they can definitely fall off a cliff and fast. So, and you definitely take a look at this offensive line with the Washington Commanders right now, and at least on paper, it's one of the worst rushing or worst run blocking offensive lines in the National Football League, and Jonathan just wouldn't have a whole lot of lanes to take advantage of. I think you got to spend your resources here. That first-round pick that you would be trading away for Jonathan, I would spend that on an offensive lineman next year. Start to solidify up front in the trenches where the game of football is won, and not with the running back position, which is seen as more of a secondary position in this league. I'm not willing to pay Jonathan Taylor the extension he wants to get, and I'm not willing to give up a first-round draft pick because this team is likely going to have to use that pick on an offensive lineman next year. So to me, this trade would absolutely not be worth the squeeze. I want to see what Eric Bieniemy can do with the running backs that we have on the roster right now. I wouldn't mind getting a guy like a Kareem Hunt or a Dalvin Cook if you can get one of those guys for like a 1-year prove-it kind of contract on a low dollar figure, but trading for a guy and then paying a massive extension for a guy like Jonathan Taylor when you don't have the offensive line completely buttoned up is not a good idea. And I highly suggest that Ron Rivera stick to his guns here and stick with what they have here with the Commanders offense in 2023. So let me know what you think about Jonathan Taylor down there in the comments. Is he overrated or is he underrated? Give me an O if you think he's a bit overrated, because I think he's a little bit overrated right now. Or do you think he's a little bit underrated? Give me a U if you think Jonathan Taylor is being a little bit undervalued at this point in time. That's going to be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate all the support. Make sure you click that subscribe button because we got more Commanders news and rumors coverage coming your way, breaking down training camp, every single preseason game, leading up to that Week 1 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. You are not going to find better Commanders coverage here on YouTube. And the best part is we give it to you guys 100% free. So do me a favor, click that subscribe button, and that'll be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate all the support. I will see you guys later. And as always, hail to the Commanders.